Hello, welcome to Dominions 5. I'm Kirby1, and today we are going to make up for not doing this yesterday and get into this segment that I am dubbing Basil is Not Ideal, and we're moving into part 2 of that, in which I am playing Early Age Kailasa again. Same pretender, but slightly different not ideal build. And part 2 is going to involve the war against Hinnom, the first war against Hinnom, because you've never heard that on my channel. Alright, so the important thing about this turn 10, where the war had already started a little bit, where I took the offensive, was this battle right here. Now, the battle replay is not going to show, again, what actually happened, because this is pre-patch where there were a bunch of difficulties with replays back in the early days of Dominions 5, when it had been out for only a couple months. But essentially what happens is Hinnom had split his troops into 2 squads right here, and the upper squad, as you see, runs right past my guys and hits the back line. Now in the replay you see they don't actually do that, but on the strategic map you see that they kill my commander, Bandar commander, who is also my prophet. So the army is left without leadership. However, because all of my units have berserking, that doesn't actually matter. I only lose 2, and I kill all of his guys, and I win the battle. So I win, but I am now leaderless. I'm also continuing to expand, and I got mercenaries. So this is where that battle was, and as you can see, there are still 11 units just sitting around in the garrison, which is unfortunate for me because they have no leadership. They have no commander for the PD who can do magic leadership, and I can't recruit anyone there who could do magic leadership. Luckily for me, killing his expansion force and commander, he has no commanders in a position to be able to take advantage of that fact. So if he had attacked here, they would have probably just run away, because they're not undead. They wouldn't have just dissolved on the battlefield. But I'm moving as many people as I can to reinforce that. The mercenaries I got here because I had seen Baratos was here and he might threaten this province. This is not actually a good idea. You should not recruit mercenaries in the province that you actually want to defend, because the mercenaries will show up after all of the battles have happened. So not only will they not contribute to the battle, but if you lose the province, then they don't spawn there, and all the money you spent on them is actually completely wasted. So I should have probably purchased them here, where they would have been able to have a little bit more range of motion in order to strike here or here if that were necessary against Baratos, or here as the case turns out to be. In addition to that, I'm moving out with some elephants, ogres, and sacreds, just a bunch of summons that I got, and I'm going to take this PD along the way, and then they can actually move from here to here because of my dominion in this just basic plains province. So I'll be able to get them there next turn. I'm not going to show the turn immediately after this one because it's just a bunch of moving and these guys sitting here and me continuing with my expansion. This does actually work out. It's not many units left, and most of them are already wounded. So this would have been a tough fight, but I managed to succeed, and then I remove the general back here so I can pick up some more guys who I'm just recruiting more sacreds and a couple of yogis. Palisade will be done. I'll get a temple up first and then a lab, and then we'll continue the war. Research right now is going to be construction 3 for Legions of Steel. Now this was again also still before the time that I actually knew how Legions of Steel worked. Legions of Steel only applies to units that actually have armor already. None of my sacreds have armor, so it's completely useless. Or that is to say, none of my recruitable sacreds have armor. Gandharvas, like I always tell you, are awesome and they have armor, so it would work for them, but not particularly useful right now. Next turn, turn 12, in which we have another battle for this province. Now, in this battle, I also win, and I also kill the majority of his army. As you can see, I only have one elephant left, because elephants not so hot against lizard men, turns out. The lizards can do quite a lot of damage to them, and so that was a pretty bad waste of 25 nature gems, unfortunately for me, which I could have used to get another one of these guys, but I didn't. So I have a pretty decisive victory here. The most losses I suffered were mercenaries, so I'm not complaining. And I push him back again. A couple unexpected events. Yay, I can break into blood. Oh yeah, and then this province just decides to up and leave. For no good reason. I'm a benevolent ruler. I only invade other people. So my mercenaries are now going to go over here and try and finish off this province and get that 100 income into my pocket. I was going to say instead of his, but he's not even getting it because I've cut off his access to here. Now he might have this and this because this is his capital. I don't know it at the time. Turns out he doesn't have this because there's like heavy cavalry here and barbarians here. Now I think I mentioned last turn the reason why I attacked Hinnom is because he had mentioned in Discord that he had lost his pretender and expansion. So, you know, don't do that, A. But also, B, I think this was probably where it was, because it fluctuates from anywhere between 50 barbarians and 90 barbarians. So there were a lot of barbarians here, and probably not something you want to throw your pretender at. Just taking a wild guess at that. I could be completely wrong, but this is no joke to deal with, so it's no wonder that he hasn't taken it, even though his capital's here. And that does help me out a lot, because then I can take these two provinces, and he has to reinforce all the way around this way. In the meantime, I'm going to try and take this fort. I've got a couple of earth gems left. Not many, though, so I'm actually scripting him to conserve gem usage. Yeah, again, Legions of Steel, not going to work. So, oops. What's my next research? Okay, I'm going back to Alteration for that Mother Oak. That is my ultimate goal, if I can get it. And I'm going to be site searching with a guru, and then moving out with another force to reinforce these guys. And hopefully finish this war with Hinnom pretty quickly. However, time moves on. And it turns out that I was not the only one paying attention to chat. Apparently Hinnom called out for help and got Lanka to join in on this. So I'm now being invaded by Lanka, and he told me this is in response to me attacking Hinnom. So let's see what he's got. Lots of guys. This is probably the majority of his force. He has these guys who he has to recruit in his capital, and they're sacreds, and his dominion's probably not like, 9 or 10. And his bless is quickness, blood, vengeance, invulnerability. So this is like water, 9 or 10, blood, 7 or 9, I'm not entirely sure, and then death 5. So that, and it has to be an awake pretender too, because this is not even, or is it? I think this has to be an awake pretender, because turn, let's see, 12, we're on turn 12, so, or turn 14, I'm 90% sure this is an awake pretender. So his scales are crap, he's not going to have a lot of dominion strength, so, this is most of his army, plus there's like 6 or 7 mages here. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff he's throwing at me. And he's going to win, which is unfortunate, because I actually like this province, and I was recruiting underwater troops in order to get into this pond here. Though against Amber Clan, maybe I would have gone over here first. But yeah, this is no joke to deal with, unfortunately. I'm going to have to deal with it somehow. What else? Oh yeah, Spiders attack me. I drive them off, luckily for me. Also, Hinnom winds up counter-raiding me. The mercenaries did not manage to take this Hoburg province. He'd put a bunch of PD there and also recruited a commander and some guys. Now, my reinforcement army manages to take care of that right quick, but the army that he had gathered also moves out here and then takes this province. So we're doing a little swap for right now, but I think I'll be able to take him again and then reinforce here. It's going to be a turn too late because Hinnom's moving in with 40 more units. So we'll see if I'll be able to fight that off. He's got the archers here. And Lanka's got a bunch of mercenaries as well. So I'm being attacked on two fronts now. Luckily for me, Baratos doesn't seem to have his army in a position to strike at me either. Helheim did manage to take this undead province, which I thought would be a great barrier, but turns out was not. Helheim's somewhere around here. I haven't done a whole lot of scouting because, attention elsewhere. And there's Pangaea. And so those are all the people that I've met so far. In the meantime, I'm going to try and take this fort and force Hinnom into a quick end to the war, and then try and do something to deal with Lanka. So let's see what the next turn holds. Turn 15. Lanka continues to push in, just raiding my PD. I don't actually send a force to go intercept him. But this is important because this is, this is me just clearing off his PD. But this is a battle over his capital. And I actually do not win. My mage manages to get away, but everyone else is killed. Turns out 14 sacreds with this current bless is not enough to deal with 75 units. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but I was driven off here, and I do not think that this is going to be able to take that either. So, we come to some form of terms. Essentially, I tell Lanka, okay, well, I get your point of attacking me because I was attacking Hinnom. How about I stop attacking Hinnom and you stop attacking me? And to Hinnom I say I'll stop attacking you because I actually got these two provinces, and that's actually pretty good for me. I'm content to have these two really high income provinces and also deny him expansion into this area. So I feel like I still came out on top, even though I didn't manage to take this fort or actually kill him this turn. But if I'm also having to deal with this, I'm perfectly fine with letting it go at that. Turns out Lanka winds up being a very swell guy and says, okay, well, I only took PD, so I'll let you have this province, and this province back since they were yours originally, and I'll withdraw and my borders will be here. He's not giving back this province because even though it was technically mine from conquering it from PD, it does get flipped to independent with an event, so he took that fair and square. The reason he gave for not actually wanting to continue to fight me, even though he could have said, yeah, well, you stop fighting Hinnom, that's okay, we can fight now, is because of him. He sees that I have Monolith, and he's like, you know what? I don't feel like I'm geared to deal with that, so I'm just gonna pull back now while I still have an army. And I haven't actually tested that in theory at this point in the game. That is to say, at this point in the timeline where I've been playing both this game and the other early age Kailasa game, I haven't actually tested my Monolith against any real major opposition. So I'm just like, hey, great. If my Monolith is enough to just scare you, that's fine with me. I did have him before all the moves that I currently submitted with this turn are shown. basically I'm just like, okay, you're not going to put PD there. I'm just going to walk in with a Yogi and just take that, which I wind up doing. He was very nice about it. And I had all of these guys set to patrol because I did have a reinforcement army coming in from here of just vanilla recruit anywhere sacreds, but they wouldn't have gotten here in time, and if he had been on my fort and then sieging me, I wouldn't have been able to break siege with my monolith. So I'd rather have him on patrol with everything that I had. And he, let me check my research. He was not going to be able to cast Light of the Northern Star, which is unfortunate. So I hadn't scripted them, but I don't know exactly what I would have done. Mind Burn would have been a terrible idea because with all that damage reversal, it would have just killed my Yogis. So they probably would have cast Paralyze. I really don't know. Damage reversal is not going to be a big issue with him because he's got magic resistance like crazy and protection like crazy, so it would have been fine. But yeah, I think he would have been like the only one to survive, and then everyone else would have died, and all of his army would have died, and I would have sort of won. But yeah, we would have just beaten the crap out of each other and set each of us back a little ways. That would have been able to open him up to invasion by somebody else. And I have a non-aggression pact at this point with Helheim. I haven't really been talking with Baratos at all, and Hinnom, we're just sort of at an uneasy, uncommunicative truce. I say I'm not going to attack you, and he just sort of ignored me. But, well, ignored my message, but then didn't attack me back, so there's that. So yeah, that is the end of the war. I eventually do wind up taking these provinces back. I wind up solidifying my hold on this territory. I'm not going to be expanding up north. I'm not planning a war against Baratos and Helheim. I'm perfectly content to just let him be invisible somewhere over there. So I have to see where else I can expand. Right now there's a couple of indies here still, and there's this throne. So, and then this guy as well. So those are my next targets. So I'm going to expand out, meet some more neighbors, and see where we go from there. In the meantime, Xibalba's over here, Pangea's over here, Niflheim's down here somewhere, and Mictlan's up here, and that's what's going on as far as I can tell in the rest of the world. I think everyone else is still just sort of expanding and doing normal expansions, not like me. But my targets are going to be this throne and this throne, and the next part is going to be sort of like a double feature where I show part 2 of my expansion phase, and then either the second war that I get into, or maybe just the beginning of that, and how all of that diplomatic fallout happens. So we'll see. I'll sort of skim the turns and see what makes the most sense to get through. That's all for tonight. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy this series. And I think I do also enjoy making this series in this way rather than doing daily videos. Daily videos was a fun idea in theory, but very difficult to carry on in practice, and a lot of the turns wind up just being sort of boring and me monologuing about random crap that I'm seeing. So I think this story narrative is much more interesting, and I'm going to be trying it on for size a little bit more in a couple of future games as well that I have either completed or am doing as time wears on. Have a good night.